About 2 weeks ago, I said on this channel that the Monica Kimani investigation is one of the strangest investigations ever. The reason I said this was because there was a lot of leakage of information from the investigators. In other words, the investigators in this case were deliberately leaking out information to the media. Now, obviously, if you get information from an investigator, bang in the middle of investigating a case, you have no reason to doubt that information. Now, about 3 days ago, I started having a lot of doubts about this information because contradictions began to emerge. You will also remember the reason I suspected that investigators were being so open with the information. Just to remind you, both suspects, Jacque Maribe and Joseph Irungu, are on record, according to investigators, for threatening them. Investigators revealed that Wanajo Irungu told them that this case would go nowhere, and we received similar reports concerning Jacque Maribe. Now today, the two co-accused were back in court, and the judge who is now going to listen to this matter, who's going to determine this matter, Judge James Wakianga, issued a very stern warning to the media. And that should include social media. That's us. The learned judge did not even mention the offense, probably for emphasis. He just said something like, you people know there's something called sub-something. And then when somebody said sub judice, the judge said, yes, that one. I love this judge. I like him a lot. Now, of course, what he was saying, I personally take very seriously, and all Kenyans should take very seriously. Why? Because this law is there for a very good reason. Everybody deserves a fair trial. Now, just imagine for a minute that Jacque Maribe was your sister, or Joy Irungu was your big brother. And you have information, which is not in the public domain, and that information tells you they're completely innocent. How would you feel when the case is discussed in the media and on social media, and people are gauging the evidence and weighing the evidence, and people have already decided they're guilty before even their trial starts? Now, let us also be a bit fair, and look at this thing a bit closely. Now, information about the evidence gathered by investigators started well before this thing landed in court, and that is well before the two were charged. As soon as they were charged, then there was a case in court, and of course, that was last week. Now, apparently the momentum of information on this case had really gathered, and therefore it did not stop, even when the case started under Lady Justice Jessie Lesit. But now, Judge James Wakianga has called all of us to order, and he has reminded everybody that he will take action against anybody who comments, or reveals information which is outside the court. A matter which is before the court is sub judice, and anybody who starts analyzing and forming an opinion directly concerning the evidence would be guilty of contempt of court. And that includes making comments and opinions on social media like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And the penalty for doing this, if convicted, is quite harsh. It is a fine of 200,000 Kenya shillings, or 6 months in jail, or both. And so, folks, from now going forward, no commenting on anything that would imply the guilt or the not being guilty of the two accused persons. That is now in the able, experienced, trained hands of the judge. It is now before a court. Now, I find it fascinating that in 2013, there was a very similar problem in the UK. And a number of people were convicted of this offense, making commentaries on social media on an ongoing case. Now, the world has really changed because, social media is like being at your local watering hole, being in the pub or even discussing with your neighbor about an ongoing case, which people have been doing for a very long time, for centuries. And technology is such that you no longer talk to the neighbor across the fence. You're on social media, talking to your washikaji, if I can use that Kenyan expression. However, in law, it's not the same thing, because when you have something on social media, it's out there. Millions can see it. Thousands can see it. It can sway the opinion and the belief of many and make a fair trial impossible. Okay? And I believe everybody, you, me, and anybody, even the person who looks the most guilty, all, under the law, deserve a fair trial. And I think you'll all agree with me on that one. So now we'll all have to be super patient, very patient, and wait as the trial begins, and murder trials tend to be very long, and wait as the evidence is presented. We can only report and talk about the evidence. We will not even be able to express our opinion on the evidence, because that would be stepping on very dangerous ground. Now, today in court, Judge James Okianga was looking for the lead investigator, to ask him whether he's the one who leaked the information to the press. And of course, the lead investigator was not in court. The judge was especially upset because there's been a report which was released in the papers today related to this case. Something that could be a possible motive of the murder, something that happened at the airport. But we can't comment on that anymore. So let us obey the law and let us ensure that our brother and our sister get a fair trial, whichever way it goes. Now, Dennis Itumbi was in court today again, in solidarity with his good friend Jacque Maribe. But there was another visitor, who was there for the first time and who has raised a lot of eyebrows. And that is Gatundu South legislator, Bwana Moses Kuria. Fascinatingly, Bwana Moses Kuria even exchanged a few words with Jacque Maribe's dad, because Moses Kuria was seated right behind him in court. I believe you can see those pictures on your screens right now. Now, this is super interesting, because the immediate question is, Bwana Kuria was in court, yes. Who was he standing in solidarity with? Who was he showing his support to? Was it Jacque Maribe or was it Joe Irungu? Or perhaps both? And I'm afraid it gets even more confusing. We know that Bwana Kuria is very close to the deputy president, but he is also super close to State House. And so, if he was representing a certain interest, which of the two was it? Very confusing. But I guess this underlines what most of you have been saying here, that hii ni kesi ya wakubwa. Anything can happen. Now, before I go, I'd like to repeat again, no comments on the evidence connected to this case. No comments on who may be guilty or not guilty, because this matter is now sub judice. It's before a court. We cannot even comment or try and speculate as to why the case was transferred, from one judge to another. Nope. Let's just stay safe. Let's play it very, very safe. And finally, Jacque Maribe and Joe Irungu will be back in court on October 24th for their bail hearing. Okay? And Judge James Okianga has asked for a report from the probation office. He has asked for what is called a pre-bail report, which will help the judge make a ruling as to whether or not to grant bail. But of course, the key thing here is what the prosecution say. The prosecution have to convince the court that there are compelling reasons to continue holding the two suspects in custody. Now, the 24th is a week from today, So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.